Welcome to the 18th episode of the Justin Spaulding Show. 18 episodes strong. We're still rolling. We got Maudine. Did you just get shocked, Maudine?
Yeah.
We always have something interesting going on here in the makeshift studio that's normally our conference room. Today it happens to be Maudine getting shocked by the camera. Is this camera on right now, or are you just going to do some B-roll and stuff? Cool, okay. I kind of like that, what you did last week with the camera and the B-roll. Like, we had the one post. Actually, if people are watching on YouTube right now, you can see what I'm about to put on my screen. This post right here, Maudine. Can you share my screen with the people? Can they hear this? They can't, can they? We're playing around with some equipment right now, but if you're watching live, you can see my screen right now. Maudine, we're just talking about some B-roll that he did during our podcast last week or the week before, and I like it. So Maudine's bringing a different phase than Ryder brought to the game. I think if that was a door that closed, and Ryder maybe just coming in and heard that, but Maudine's bringing a little bit different touches to the content game, and I like it. So, all right, you can bring me back full screen if you want. But yeah, welcome to the 18th episode, April 23rd, 2021. So this is like 4 months now of doing the podcast. 18. We've done 18 weeks. 18 consecutive weeks, right? We haven't missed one Friday. Well, actually, I take that back. They haven't always been Friday. Why does the camera keep shocking you? You distracted me. 18 straight weeks. We started going to Fridays every single Friday, maybe like, I don't know, episode 9 or something. Before that, it was just hit or miss all around. But it's been 18 consecutive weeks, right? Yeah, I was in Hawaii for 2 of those Fridays, but we pre-recorded, still launched them each Friday when I was gone. People were following me like, dude, you're live on your podcast right now, aren't you in Hawaii? I'm like, yeah, I'm in Hawaii. They were pre-recorded, and then this is live though. We're doing this live. So yeah, I know we have more questions that came in. It's cool. We're getting a lot of questions from people. First though, if you want to share my screen again one more time, let Maudine transition over. And right now, if you're listening, you can't see, but you can always go and watch our. By the way, right here, I got my YouTube channel. You can always go and watch. Each episode is up pretty much immediately when we're done. So you can go and watch whenever you're listening. You don't know what I'm necessarily talking about. People on Instagram Live, you can only see my face. But when you can only see what I'm talking about, I also explain what we're looking at right now. And right now on the screen I'm sharing is the Wall Street Journal. Let me see if I can get. So what I'm sharing on the screen right now for Instagram that's watching and everyone that's watching is Joe Biden, President Biden. This whole capital gains tax, I'm not going to throw out too many of my thoughts or opinions, and maybe I will as I start talking more, I don't know. But, looking at roughly doubling the capital gains tax, I got a lot of questions for our watchers, and just would like to hear from you guys on what you guys think of it. I think it's, in one way, I'm like, are less people going to sell their assets and try to hope that the next administration, 4 years, 8 years from now, brings those back? Or is, are we going to look back, 30 years ago and it'll be 30 years ago by and the capital gains rate's still going to be that high? I don't know, but they're trying to attack wealth. Wealth has always been hard to tax. Wealth, I think, still will be hard to tax because if I sit here and that changes, I won't sell anything. I'm not, the property that we have listed for sale, we have one property right now listed for sale. And, if they hit our price, I have to sell it because I have a listing contract with the agents and the brokers, but I won't sell anything else. I'll wait and we'll see what happens, and we'll just continue to sit in the cash flow and all that. So just want to see what you guys think. You can leave your comments on Instagram. You can leave your comments on YouTube or Facebook or whatever. Just want to see what you guys think of this whole capital gains tax. Do you think less people are going to sell assets over the next 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years and try to wait it out to see if the thing gets changed by the next administration? What do you think it's going to do to asset prices, right? If less people are selling assets, because that's my mindset. If I've got stuff and they raise the capital gains, I'm gonna wait it out and not sell anything. If there's less assets available, I'm thinking real estate, and real estate's already tight supply. There's not much for sale. So if you even have less sellers, more people sitting on it, does that drive up the price even more? I don't know, it might, but it's just interesting. It's crazy. I've talked to a lot of people who have a long and a great run in business, in their background and their history and stuff, and what their thoughts are. And it's a wide range of, it'll never happen because the politicians want their capital gains to be low as possible too. Those guys are wealthy. They're in the stock market. They're all over the place. So they don't think it'll happen. But then other people are like, hey, look what's happened in the last 12 months. The last 12 months have been nothing. Wait until you see what else is coming. And this capital gains tax is just a small thing of even what's coming yet in the future. So it's kind of all over the board and no one knows what to expect. I just know that the markets got rocked yesterday. But the crazy thing is our properties didn't get rocked yesterday. We're still chugging along, right? So that's another reason why real estate investing, cash flow producing real estate is a great place to be. I'm not seeing the value of my real estate do this every single day. So, but yeah, if you're not following us on YouTube, here's our YouTube page. For those of you guys that are watching, go check it out. Go follow us there. Subscribe. And as I share stuff on my screen, you'll then be able to see it. We have some initial comments coming in, I know, through Instagram. You want to make the screen big on me again, Maureen? Some of the comments on Instagram, I think, about this tax issue here is John is Doe. He said, even in Canada, they've added a luxury tax for 2022. And then he said, I think people will find ways to defer these taxes. I do too. That's the thing, is the people that are in business and own these, they're wealthy for a reason. They find ways to, get around things legally, typically, and to still continue to build wealth. What I find really interesting though is all these people are like, Bezos, Jeff Bezos is like, they need to be $15 minimum wage. It's like, well, Amazon can afford that, right? And they're already paying other people that. So now they obviously want that to put pressure on Walmart, to put pressure on the little guy, to suffocate those people so he can take even more market share. And that's what I've been saying about this whole thing. The people that are already at the top, they do not care, because ultimately those years where the taxes are higher, it's ultimately going to help them, because they're going to suffocate people like me who are kind of in the midst of growing to the next level, to one day maybe be at their level. It'll slow those people down, and they want to chokehold those people. And I have people that argue with me on that all the time and say that's not the case, but I look at it and it's how can it not be the case? How would that not benefit Amazon? It would no doubt benefit Amazon, 100,000% benefit Amazon, because of the chokehold it would put on any future competition, any other startup right now that could have in other environments be at where Amazon's at, 15 years later from now, they could be at where Amazon's at today. It chokes those companies out, and maybe it takes them 30 years to get there. Maybe it takes them out of business instead of allowing them to thrive. So that's my viewpoint on it. There's a reason that these other people are, if they're wanting it, they're going to benefit somehow, some way. I mean, let's be real. These people are successful. So with that being said, that was my first little opening rant of today, just kind of talking about the capital gains tax. Interested to see what other people think on it. I like hearing other people's opinions on it. And hey, Maudin's all excited because right now we finally got our live chat on the video. It used to just be a static like YouTube chat. So YouTube, if you're watching live on YouTube, you could chat with us. Now if you're on what, Maudin, YouTube or Facebook?
Facebook, see, I just commented.
Cool. Yep. Oh, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. If you comment, it's going to show up in our live chat on the left side of my screen if you're watching live. So cool. Good job, Maudin. You're always taking it to the next level, man. It's awesome. Maudin, let's go to the first question that we have today. First question is, how would you acquire your first deal with no money and no contacts? All right, so once again, when we get to questions that I get repeatedly, I'm going to say, hey, refer back to my thousands of hours on content on Instagram and YouTube, and go follow me on YouTube. But this is a great question from the standpoint of, how would you acquire your first deal with no money and no contacts? Just talking about the no money and no contacts part. Look, you can't, and this is why I've been posting so hard lately. If you go back on Instagram and you see me talking about you need partners, you need people, you need resources. If you have no money and no contacts, you can't do it. You need one or the other, or both, right? So you got to go out and make contacts. Did you get shocked now by your computer? What is going on in here? You need to go out and make contacts. You need to, or go out and make money, or do both and stash that money. If you have no money, I don't know. Someone please let me know how, if they have no money and no contacts, how you could ever go out and accomplish anything in business. You can't do it. I can't go if I have zero. You're saying no contacts. I have no contacts. That means I don't even have a building I can buy because I don't have a seller, right? If I have zero, you got to go out and make contacts, right? And the contacts is probably easier than making money. I mean, the contacts I would say is most important. That's why another post that I had a couple of weeks ago was, Maudine asked me, would you rather have a billion friends or $1 billion? And I said a billion friends all day. I will take the contacts time and time and time again. I need people. We need each other to move forward. And so you have got to focus on making contacts, also making money, stashing that money. And maybe what you need, if you're asking this question, is you need to take a step back and just learn and grow yourself, right? So when I'm talking to people all the time, my 5 things are learn, find a way to make money, save the money, go look at investments and put that money to work, pull the trigger. So, and then promote yourself. Don't think it is arrogant of you, or don't think you're being selfish. Don't think you're being, don't think you're in the wrong promoting yourself, even when other people, like people tell me all the time, why are you the way you are with your content? Because I want to grow my business, right? And so promote once you have a track record. So that's how I'll answer that question. If you have no money, no contacts, you can't do anything. Like you can't go to a water park because you have no money, right? And if you have no money, no contacts, you can't go to a friend's house because you have no contacts, right? Having a friend and going to a friend's house means you need a contact. So that's the answer. It's you need to go out and get contacts. You need to go out and tell other people what you want to do, and you can't be scared what they're going to say about that. You cannot let the fear of their opinion on your dreams or wants, hold you back. You don't need the person that's going to make fun of you, right? You just need to go talk to 100 people to find the 1, 2, or 3, or 4 that are going to help you. It's fine if 96 of them laugh at you or think you're crazy, or it doesn't matter. They're irrelevant because they're not going to help you anyways. They count as a no contact, right? But find the 3 people, the 2 people, the 1 person that's going to help you, because they're out there for sure. No doubt about it. Maudine, next question. What are your thoughts about the sports card market? Do you see what's going on with the news? So I'm confused about that second part of that question, but the sports card market, I just don't know enough about it. It's not something I'm in. I take that back. I do have like 400 sports cards from when I was like little, and a lot of them are like Packer cards. The Packers won Super Bowl 31. I would collect like newspaper clippings, anything that had to do with the Packers when I was like 6, 7, 8. Like I still have them in a box somewhere. Don't know where that box is, but I'm sure they're at my parents' house or something in the basement. So I have these. I have a Brett Favre rookie card, and I got like a Reggie White Packer card. And I got all these, Packers. These cards from the 80s and 90s probably aren't worth really anything, but I don't know enough about it. This is what I do know. I do know that you can transact. We talk about transactions here all the time. We talk about how money, the paper, is actually worthless. Those sports cards are worth more than the paper in your hand if you're doing the game right? As long as you're transacting, right? If you trade money for a sports card that has value to it and you think is going to go up in time, obviously buy that sports card, right? It's a form of investing, but you just got to know about it. I'm not knowledgeable enough to say, hey, yeah, it's a no-brainer, right? If you know enough about anything, right? Whatever your niche is, whatever you have knowledge about, there's always a way to make money in that niche, always. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just being in the know, right? So as long as you're in the know, as long as you can go take it upon yourself to learn the sports card market, if you're into sports, whatever, then it's going to be an advantage for you. Always ways to make, even when sports cards weren't as big, there were still people making money in it because they knew what they were doing, right? Now it's become a lot more hot, right? I know that. I know it's a lot more likely that anyone can kind of go into the sports card market and make money now than they could have, 20 years ago. But you gotta go in and learn. You gotta try. You can't be worried about, you can't be so worried about losing some money while you're starting that it deters you from ever starting, right? So if it's something you're passionate about, go learn, go try, go buy 10 different cards, see what happens, right? The best way I've ever learned is by actually going and doing. And sometimes you're going to lose and sometimes you're going to win. But each time that you win and lose, you're going to learn more and more, so that a higher percent of the time you're going to start winning, right? And that's what you need to do. Next question. I do have a question on here. I think someone asked, any advice for someone that wants to be a developer? Once again, I'm giving advice on stuff that I've actually done, that I'm actually successful at. I've done zero development, right? From ground up development. Reasons why I've done zero development is because I was looking for, the book that I wrote, which is right at the top of the screen right here. You can go to my website, www.justinspaulding.com, and get my book. It's called The Sure Thing, Build Wealth in Real Estate. And I named it that. Yeah, if you want. I named it that. There's one just sitting around my desk. I named it that because I'm buying cash flow producing assets that they're already built, they're already cash flowing, and we can add value, right? Anytime you're developing, in my opinion, and some people will argue with me, and they could be right. My feel and my thought is anytime you develop something, you're not buying something that's cash flowing day one. Instead, you're getting a construction loan, and you have to start paying interest on that construction loan when you draw upon it. You've got cash going out, and you've got no cash coming in. And so I've yet to do any ground up developments. Now, some people call what we do development from a standpoint of we're repositioning properties and rehabbing. Yes, we do that all the time, and it is knowing your labor costs, your material costs, and being able to get stuff done on time, on schedule. But what we say around here, it always takes more time than you think, and it always costs more time than you think it's gonna take. So we're always prepared. We're more about like the sure thing. We're trying to get things that are already cash flowing and add value to them so they throw off even more cash flow, right? The cash flow protects you, right? And so that's my advice on it. I don't know enough about the actual processes of developing to give great advice on that. So Ryder has joined us, by the way. He's in the building. I didn't know that you push this little button right here and it moves the...
Yeah, come on now.
I was always trying to I'm like, why does this thing keep... So, all right. Let's go to the next question.
All right, well, I got to go, but
You're out of here?
Yeah, I got to go.
Well, Ryder made a 20-second appearance. What do you got to go do?
I got to go grab another rake for...
Did those sanding pads come in yet?
No.
Okay, 1 p.m. I think. So yeah. All right. Well, if they're here, I can always run those over too because I got a couple spots in my calendar today. So see ya. Yeah, we're crushing it. We got like 160,000 on the books. We're looking at we're getting this is not about that question, but something that we've struggled with lately now. Like we've gotten to the point where we can, in prime painters, I'm talking right now, and this is just a side rant, just a talking point. We've gotten to the point in prime painters where we know our labor costs, we know our material costs, so we're able to effectively and pretty accurately estimate and be profitable. And that's a big thing in contracting, right? Is knowing your material costs, your labor costs. But then the next thing is like what we've had an issue and where our problems have been is the scheduling, because our painters will get frustrated because the scheduling, we're kind of throwing them all over the place. And so that's the next thing we're starting to figure out. And so today we're looking at, it's like, okay, we got $60,000 or $175,000 worth of jobs in the books. We've got another $100,000 in estimates out there right now, bids out there that are waiting to be signed that hopefully we close 40%, 30% of them. And it's like, how long will it take? Right? How do we schedule these out? Well, now we have all of our estimates. They have a labor hour count to it, and we're usually within 10%, right? So sometimes we do things 10% faster, sometimes it's 10% slower. We're pretty conservative, but and we have a little bit of buffer built in anyway. So if we go 10 to 15% over, we still hit our margins. So if we're right on what our painters see, that means we're really crushing it. If we're 10% ahead, we're really, really, really crushing it. If we're normally, we've got the buffer in there. We go 10% to 15% over the labor hours that we estimated, right? So when we're looking at these jobs, we put them in a spreadsheet and we've got the total man hours basically allocated to these contracts that we've got to perform on. And we take a 25% deposit, which is nice because we're covering some of our labor and our material costs pretty much right up front. About half of our cost is covered up front. And but now it's looking at, okay, like we just hired another lead painter, so he starts on Monday. He did his orientation this morning. He starts on Monday. So we're going to have 8 total painters. We've got another 4 or 5 we're interviewing. We're trying to get to like 15 to 18 painters probably by midsummer. So now we're looking at, okay, if they work 40-hour weeks, this is how many man hours we have. This is how many man hours we have booked. This is what the schedule should look like, right? And we're adding in our schedule, we add about 10% to the times that we have in those estimates so that we can kind of schedule them out. And this was not me. This was not my idea. I was struggling with the scheduling thing. So we use T-Sheets right now, which is a QuickBooks product. And Ember and Ryder are holding it down right now, acting as, Ember's a bookkeeper, Ryder's a sales rep, but they're both sharing the project manager role right now while we figure some of this out before we throw a project manager in. I wanted to have our processes down. So they're working on that, and those two came up with, hey, let's use T-Sheets, let's use the scheduler, let's use how many hours the job was estimated for, schedule our guys this way. They know where they're at, or likely know where they'll be at over the next week to 10 days, which gives them peace of mind, because for some reason painters get really rattled when they don't know what's happening tomorrow, which is kind of ironic and funny because in that industry it's always chaotic. But so we're trying to figure out the scheduling, because like I said, when we're doing what we're doing, it's always, and actually anything is just like what's any material production costs that you have, labor costs, and then the schedule to get things done, right? That's almost anything. If you know those things and be good at those things, you're going to be successful in anything that you're doing. And so we're really trying to, in our contracting business, really trying to nail down our scheduling. So that rant make any sense, or did I just go off and people are like, Maudine says it makes sense, so it should make sense for the 8 people that are watching online right now. How many people live do we have? Ryder and I used to always talk about how many people live we had in the middle. 2 on YouTube?
On YouTube, one.
Hey, 4. That means we got 15 live watchers. That's, hey, take it.
We go live on TikTok.
Oh yeah, let's go live on TikTok. We're gonna give this 1 sec. You got my TikTok on your phone, right? We're gonna put this on pause 1 second. Don't worry, we're not leaving you. We're just gonna get TikTok live, rocking and rolling. Just set it up for me somewhere. So, and if you actually want to just put the next question up, I can start that while you're, no problem. Instagram, what other, Tompkins Excavating, he probably knows about material, labor costs, and schedules.
I guess I have to hit go live.
Go live? All right, let's go live. All right, hey TikTok, we're live in the 18th episode. We're picking up in the middle, so we're live in the 18th episode. The Justin Spaulding Show. Welcome to the show. The next question is there one subject area you wish you knew better when you first started? Not really, and I'm really bad also at reflecting on like when it comes to like, do you wish or do you have any regrets or what would you have done differently? My answer is always like not really, just because like a lot of times you're gonna learn when you're in the dirt, when you're in the mud, and you do things. And there's too many people. I think the reason people ask this question is because there's so many people out there that think that they have to know it all before they start. When I've got an LOI out there on a $53 million deal in Florida right now, I have no idea. I do not know how, if that gets accepted, I do not yet know how we're going to exactly make that work. I think it's a 0.05% chance that makes it work, but I do not know, right? So you're never gonna know anything, whether it's a subject area or how something's going to turn out. You're never going to know, and so the only way you're going to know is if you start. Don't think that you need to know everything. I mean, half the time around here, we're figuring things out as we go and as we grow. Maudine, you've been around long enough, right? There's a lot of times we're like, hey, how are we going to figure this out? And then we have the brain trust, right? And all of us come together, and CJ and Ava and Ember and Ryder and Maudine and, the lead painters, Rich and Clark and Paul, and we come together, and it's like, hey, how are we going to, our property managers, our regional manager, ML, we all, MB in the office here, we're all coming together. It's like, how are we going to make this work? And so we figure it out as we go, and then we kind of, sometimes we're like part right, but it still really works out well. And I mean part right because something didn't go quite smooth enough. And it's like, okay, well, the next time we do it, we keep the part that went part right. And then we keep the part that went right. And then the part that went wrong, we make adjustments right there until it's right. Then once everything's right, we kind of write down notes, and we have a sheet, an SOP, standard operating procedure that we kind of roll from going forward, right? And so you're never, ever, ever going to know something. So that's why I don't even waste any time trying to think about what I wish I would have known before I started. I mean, I wish I would have maybe gone bigger earlier, but then I look at it and it's like the first deals that I did taught me so much. It gave me the track record to promote that I don't know that I don't have any regrets. I don't wish I would have done anything different, right? So, I mean, I take that back. Like we could have bought every deal that I looked at from 2012 2016, and we could have for sure made a ton of money if we would have bought every single deal, just because the market we're in. But other than that, I mean, I have zero wishes, regrets, and there's no advice that I can give you there other than you got to go out and do it. You take the first step. And some of you are like, I don't even know what the first step is. It's because if that's the case, then you're still thinking about like your big goal yet. Like when I said in 2012, I want to have 50,000 units before I even had one unit, I had to break that down. I had to work backwards. So whatever your goal is, right? If my goal is 50,000 units, I got to work backwards. All right. 49,999 units. I got to work backwards from that because I can't just jump right there. 49,998 units. I still don't know how to do that, right? 49,997 units. I still don't know how to do that. 49,996. Does that make sense? And then you work down to 49,000, 48,000. I still don't know how to do that. 40,000. I don't know. And I break it down. 1,000 units. I still don't know. This is back in 2012, right? I still don't know. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how to do that. 500 units. I still don't know. 250 units. I still don't know. I got to break it down smaller. I got to break my ultimate goal down smaller yet. 250 units. I don't know. 125. I still don't know. 16 units. Oh my God. 16 units. At least at that point, I saw a 16 unit apartment building for, at that time, $900,000. I'm like, Jesus, $900,000. I don't know. I don't know how to do that. So what I have to do, 8 units. I found an 8 unit building. We put an offer in. We didn't get it because I wasn't sure I was going to raise the money, and it fell apart, whatever. And I tried to renegotiate because I was scared about how much money I had to raise versus just worrying about the deal. So I had to back off of that, right? Okay, let's start looking at some 4 units. When I started looking at some 4 units, the first one didn't work out. The second one didn't work out. The third one I don't think worked out. The next one that I put an offer in, it worked out. So I just went out. I backed my 50,000 unit goal all the way down to 4 units. And I said, okay, here we go, because it made sense to me. I'm like, okay, for this 4 units, now what? Now I got an offer in on 4 units. It's $190,000, $200,000. What's that going to tell me? That's going to tell me how much I'm going to have to put down. The bank told me at that point, hey, you're going to need $45,000 down. Okay, well, I looked at my bank account. I got 20. So now what did I have to do next? I had to problem solve as I do. If I had 20, I had to go find another 20, 25, right? And so my family got equity. My 3 family members put money in, right? They got equity of the $25,000. So now I'm breaking problems down into such a small issue that you have to figure out where that first step is, right? And so whatever your goal is, you got to be able to break it down to the point of where you can actually take action, so that you get to the point where you don't need to learn the next thing. You just need to go do it. And then the next thing is when you go do that first thing, you don't necessarily know the next step. You just know the next step is there because you can see the mountain that you want to be on. You know this next step's there. You're not going to fall off the face of the planet. It's impossible. The earth is round. The earth is not flat, Maudine. It's not flat. You're not going to step off the face of the earth. Like you got it. The next step is there, even though you might not be able to see it. And so then you just got to take the next step. And then it's become a parent. And then you're going to take the next step. And then all of a sudden you're going to be able to see the next 15 steps. But you can't see steps 16 through 150 yet because you have no idea, but you can still see the top couple of steps of the 49,999 units and the 50,000 units, right? So you've got to break your goal down backwards to then figure out how you move forward into something that is so basic, so easy. Hey, go put an offer out on a deal, right? That's for my goals, that's what it boiled down to. So whatever your goal is, you have to break it down and work backwards to then go forward and just start doing. With the understanding that you're not going to know everything that comes immediately next, but you believe and have faith and trust that you're going to be able to take that next step, and it's to become apparent what you need to do when you're on your way, right? So I hope that makes sense. Maudine, does that make sense? Some of the comments on Play Defense 12. This is a really good question. Play Defense 12 just asked me on Instagram. He said, what motivates you to talk to only 15 people? Because just before I went on that rant, I was talking about how we have 15 total people watching live. We have 8 on Instagram right now. How many do we have over there, Maudine? 3 total between the 2. We got 11 people watching live right now, which is less than 15. Let me tell you this, Play Defense 12. This is another issue where people are like, it's not worth my time. Really? Well, okay, how much is your time worth? Right? This is worth my time because I'll talk to 15 people, but then over the course of time, there will be 100, 300, 500 views on these videos that stay online. We cut them up and use them as smaller pieces of content through the week, which thousands of views are seen on between Instagram, TikTok, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands sometimes, whatever. So it's not just about the 15 people are not, it's that this is going to be alive and everlasting forever. And probably 5 years from now, we'll be able to take some of this content and be able to look back and compare it to what I'm saying 5 years forward to now and whatever. And it's going to be like, holy crap. But so it's cool from that standpoint. But play defense 12. Why I'm willing to talk, even if there was 0 people watching, is for the content. Even if there was 1 person watching, is because 1 person can change your life. And this is where I'm talking about going back to the contacts, right? I've literally had people that have found me through my podcast, which is by far right now it's the podcast is not like my Instagram, it gets a lot of action. I get a lot of DMs, whatever, right? Someone found me through my podcast on YouTube, reached out, and is now an investor with us. So I don't know, has doing 18 of these for a $150,000 investment been worth it? I mean, I don't know. I could have found $150,000 easier than doing all this content, but just that alone, let alone the future investments that person will make, let alone what else this content's going to allow me to do, right? And the exposure and the attention it's going to allow me to bring. So play defense, I don't look at it how you and most people look at it as only 15 people or as only as 11 people. I look at it as this content's going to be around forever. This is me building my brand. The new hire that we had is a painter the other day. He came in here and we already had a good rapport with him. He's someone that we wanted, whatever. He's got great background and a lot of experience. He was impressed with all the he had watched, it seemed like he had watched hours of my content before he came in for the interview. So he knew what we were already all about, which was freaking awesome. So that stuff all adds up to be worth my time. Right. And I guess you asked not being worth about time, but you said what motivates you. That's what motivates me though, is the brand that we're building here and what we're doing here. Right. And the more that I can do this, the more people that I'm going to attract who I can be myself around, who are more like me is from a core value standpoint. The more people like that are going to come into our company, which is what we want. We need more people that have, we need less people who don't have a work ethic. We need more people who have a work ethic, right? We need, more people who are results driven and less people who don't care about results. If you don't care about results, you can't work here. You can't work here. If you don't work hard, you can't work here because you're going to be suffocated out by the other people that work really hard and are passionate about what they do. By putting this content out, other people can get the vibe from me. Wow, he cares and is passionate about what he's doing every single day. That will bring other people that we're looking to interview and bring in. If they see my content, we're gonna bring in that type of person, right? Me sharing the content and the bad stuff, the good stuff, everything that happens in real estate, that's gonna attract other investors. That's gonna attract other brokers who might bring us a pocket listing, right? Someone might hear the comment earlier about how I put a LOI in Florida, $53 million deal, and that deal might not happen, but someone on here watching might hear about me for the first time and is a broker in Florida and says, oh, holy crap, I just heard he's looking in Florida. He's looking to move from Wisconsin and keep growing in Wisconsin and grow in Florida as well. I'm going to reach out to him because I have a guy that doesn't want to list his property on the market, wants to sell to some individual, and it's 220 units, right? That stuff happens with this content all the time. So that's why we have the content for Prime Painters. That's why we have the content for Facebook. I don't just get enamored with the live number that has 7 people watch me right now. I think about the everlasting brand and all the people that are going to see it later. I'm so long-term mindset. My mindset is such a long-term, has such a long-term view. I'm operating different than most people. I think about it different than most people. I don't think about people as only. I never put only in front of the number of people that are there. I never put only in front of a dollar amount. Someone say, yeah, it's only $1. What's it? It's $1, right? It's $1 we can put to work. Yeah, well, it's only $2,200 of appliances that we just wait. No, that's $2,200 multiplied by 16, which is the NOI to give us the value. Multiplied by 6, that's the actual value and impact on the building. So I never use the word only when it comes to numbers and money and people. Someone on TikTok said, so you have how many units currently? Currently we have 700. 700 units currently. We got 178 more under contract right now with the LOI out at another 260. looking to be at 1,500 to 1,500 to 2,000. Hopefully by the end of the year, we'll see if it happens or not. And eventually looking to be at 50,000
Yes.
units in 5 years. Modine says. Thank you for joining us, by the way, Matt, through TikTok. So I'm getting hot in here. What's the next question that we got? James Tyler says, "You're the man, Justin Spaulding. Keep grinding." I'll keep grinding. I don't know if I'm the man though.
You are.
I am a man. I don't know if I'm the man. If you had 400K to start from scratch in this current market, what would you buy? I mean, it depends. Like, what's the situation? Did I stumble on 400K and don't have anything else established? Like I won the lottery or a gift or a loan or what's the context of the 400K? If it was 400K and I didn't really have a business previous, it's just savings, and I stumbled upon 400K, I would try to find a way. I want to get the money working for me, whether it's in a business, so start Prime Painters, whether it's in real estate where it's going to give me, $400,000 should give you. I mean, if you invest in one of our deals, 400,000, it'll invest anywhere. It'll give you anywhere from 8% to 11.5% year one. So, which is what, 10% would be $40,000, right? So I would get that money working for you as fast as you could. What would I buy? Me being me, I would put it into, a company that I believed that I could grow significantly, because I think there's a huge opportunity there, and we would do something very different than other people in the industry are doing, like Prime Painters, right? We have a sales department in Prime Painters. We had a sales department before we had multiple painters, right? The reason we did that is so that we could answer the phone right away, because we're able to answer the phone, get out and give a bid, get the contract signed 2 weeks before another contractor can even get out there, right? And people want stuff done, right? They want responsiveness and communication. So we're doing something different there that most people, that 95, 96, 99% of contractors aren't doing, right? So that's what I did with some money. That's what you could do with some money. And then the other option for me would be, if it's not like some type of business that I know is like that we can't do different or be different or set ourselves apart, that will have value in the future, that also cash flows and profits nicely, right? I would, because my goal with Prime Painters is I want to have an extra $1 million a year come in, I can put into apartments. I'm transparent with all of our painters and our staff. That's why I'm doing this. And to help our current properties get things done a little bit quicker than what we were, and a little bit better, hopefully, than what we were getting in the past. The other thing, $400,000, I'd put it into our next deal. So if I had $400,000, I'd put it into cash flow producing real estate. That's what I would do if I was starting from scratch with $400,000. I mean, maybe if I had $400,000, maybe $4,000 of it would be in crypto. I don't know. I think I have like 1% or 2% of my cash in crypto, my personal cash, and it's growing a little bit.
Doge?
No Doge. Ethereum and Bitcoin. And I've just been like buying more as it every time it goes down 5 or 8%, or I'll just buy a little bit more. But once again, it's something that if it went to zero, it's not like I'm not crying tomorrow if it goes to zero. But if it goes to 100,000 of Bitcoin, I'll be like, oh, cool. Next question. Play defense just said, thanks for responding. Yeah, man, play defense. Go do that. Someone on Instagram has said, I will run Florida for you. Got high standards. I'm demanding sometimes and can annoy you. Get after you a little bit. Someone else on Instagram has said, everything we buy has been pocket listings. Those relationships are priceless. Yeah, I mean, pocket listings off market stuff is great. Yeah, we're getting a lot of great positive comments about today's show. All right, what are your thoughts on fear? That most of the time you actually really have nothing to be scared of. I think people will confuse fear with anticipation. That's anxious anticipation maybe. I don't know how many people know this, but before football games, I would get to the point why the hell am I doing this? If I was someone else would have said it was fear. I was fearful, but it was so much anxiousness and some anxiety. Just the anticipation of it is what would always just be so unsettling with me. Once we got onto the field and just started, it was all good and we were ready to rock, right? But like that anticipation and the anxiety mixed with that anticipation would feel like fear sometimes. And I think that's what a lot of people aren't actually scared. It's an unsettling feeling that they get. Like you actually don't, what is there to really fear, right? I don't, we're only here for 100 years anyways. I'm like, what's the absolute worst that can happen? Like, I'm fine with, as long as I'm healthy, my family's healthy, we got running water and some food. Like, ultimately, like, I could live in a cardboard box if I was, had food and whatever. And then I'd figure out what would happen next, right? So if I had to go to zero, I'd go to zero. I'm not, would it suck? Yeah, it would suck, right? But I'm not, like, so scared that I'm not going to take action, right? I mean, when the whole COVID thing happened and business was shutting down, I'm like, I was not scared. I was zero scared. I would have gone to jail before I shut my business down. I would have been dragged to jail before I ever shut my business down. And so what I do, I actually started a business 6 days after the world shut down. I started Prime Painters middle of March 15th, March 20th. I would rather go to jail, and I get it. My business what were they called? Essential. They're called essential businesses, which, is just such a bullshit thing that someone else can determine if your business is essential or not. Because to that person that's running that business is pretty damn essential if it's paying their family's bills. And so had I had a restaurant, I probably would have gone to jail. Because I would have pushed the limits so far and just not had any fear. So I think a lot of times fear is not, you got shocked again. You're electric. Are you lightning? Disguised as Maudine?
Depending on life.
I just think that a lot of times it is a I think that's the best way that I can wrap it up though. Whatever I said at the very beginning. What did I call it? I called it anticipate it's like it's just that anticipation and anxiety most of the time, and like an excitement, and all combined into one thing. I truly don't think it's usually fear. I think that here's the thing too about if you want to just straight up call it fear, we'll call it fear for the sake of the conversation. I also think that people fear and people will think about and fear the things that are 0.01% likely to happen, that never end up happening, and it's always something else that comes along that is the punch in the face that you never ever saw coming. So that's another reason that I think fear is, okay, you can be fearful about COVID, but then 2 days later, have a heart attack and die, right? So that's what I mean by that. And in business, it's the same thing where people are fearful to start a business for the 0.01% of something that will likely very, very never likely happen. And it's when it's something else that they end up getting over that fear, and it's something else that will then come and punch them across the face one day that they have in the business, just out of the blue, that they'll have no idea was coming before, right? And just like I made the comparison right there. I mean, everyone has their eye on COVID, and then it's like they get cancer, they get, have a heart attack, or they get hit by a bus. I mean, I had a buddy that died of cancer last year. He got cancer and was gone freaking like 4 months later, right? And it's like, everyone's worried about COVID, and so your fear can be so stuck on one thing that it's just 0.01% chance it's ever going to happen, and it's going to be something else that will blindside you and knock you the hell out. And so that's why I think a lot of times you have to readjust and refocus and not let the quote unquote fear stop you from going after something that you really want to go after, right? So, next question. How many more we have?
Let's see.
Couple?
11.
Oh, 11 more questions? We really are stocked up.
We have 17 total.
Some of these are probably going to roll over to next week.
Yeah.
Here's the next question. I have 2 houses, cash flow, and $30K waiting to build an empire. Need advice in direction. If you have 2 houses, I'm assuming, if those 2 houses, you're talking about cash flow and $30K, if you have 2 houses, what I would do with you, or if I were you, I would sell the 2 houses. So hopefully turn that $30K into $130K or $230K, whatever. And I would scale up. I would go get a 4 unit, a 8 unit, a 16 unit. I would, if I were you, and you don't have like an actual operating business, I would also try to figure out how you can start an operating business for $4,000 to $10,000 that can then start, you can ramp up the revenues and ramp up production and ramp up, everything and have more cash flow from that business, right? Something I tell people all the time that are looking to invest with us, they're like, hey, what's better, an investment with you and your properties or me putting my money back into my business? I'm like, well, you should always put more money back into your business, because ultimately, like as a business owner, you'll never get a better return. I shouldn't say never, but a lot of times you won't get a better return investing in someone else's deal as you will as putting it in your own business. So that's what I would do. I mean, if you're looking to build an empire, like what you don't realize, if you have 2 houses, cash flow, and $30K waiting to build an empire, you're already 99.9% ahead of 99.9% of people out there. All right, maybe you're not in the top 0.01%, but you're 0.1%, but you're ahead of 97% of the people out there, right? So you've already taken steps into the right direction is what I'm saying. Now you just need to double down, right? And so sometimes to double down, you've actually got to sell and get rid of those 2 houses if you got some equity in there to unlock, to then go find the next value add deal or the next business or whatever to take, from 2 houses to 16 units or 32 units or 64 units or 128 units or 356 units or 712 units or 1,400 plus units, and you 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x, 6x your cash flow. And soon you're going to have 300K or 3 million or 30 million or 300 million waiting to expand your empire, right? So you've already done the right things, but now you just got to do more of the right things. And along the way, don't forget to promote your track record. All right, next. Dude, what is going on? That's the 10th time you've been shocked. Here, let's, someone on, Matt on TikTok. Okay, Matt, thanks so much for joining us, man. Matt said, if you had 15K saved up and were 20 with a stable job and no expenses, what would you do? Matt, I'd find a way to multiply that money. I'd find a way to stash more money per month so you have more money to put to work for you. I would work on trying to grow your asset column. That's what I would try to do. I'd try to find a way to make more money on the side so you can save money quicker, to have more money to put into assets that then cash flow to you, right? So if you have 15K, like you've already started taking some of the right steps like I talked about before. You just got to keep saving now. And then you got to put that money to work, deploy it. So you got to transact so that money, you can get more cash flow and that money's spinning. Save it, put more to work. Save it, put more to work. This other question are, what are 3 things you do to help others? I think the content is one thing that we do to help others. We get comments all the time, emails all the time, looking to help others. So the products that I have, the content that we have, this book, I believe all of it helped. I believe everything that we do here right now is helping others. So that's one, the content. The other thing is I think, with our employees and people here, I try to pull as much out of them as possible, as much greatness out of them as possible. I challenge people quite often and try to raise the bar quite often, and never really settled. And I don't really let people settle. So I think that's another thing that I give other people, or ways that I help people. This year we were able to donate a little bit of money back to Milton High School for their new athletic performance center, their weight room and stuff like that. And it was a meaningful thing for me, just because I spent so much time there and it taught me so much of what I'm using now in business, that it was cool to be able to, write a little check and, send that over to help that program. So doing things like that. I think those are 3 things. Next. I think this is going to be the last question for today. Best ways to get started in real estate with little to no cash to invest. You got to go out and make contacts. So let's skip that question, go to the next question. Talk about that one all the time. If you're asking that question, you just go back and watch, all the other. What was that question? Let's just see it. What are you underwriting for rental increases year over year? More than 2.5% or 3%? Inflation iffy. So what we do is we underwrite. It depends on the deal, right? So the first thing that I do when I underwrite a deal is I move all of our market rents to I move all the rents on the units they have to what they were if they were actually at the market rate. And so then I'll have a lot of loss to lease usually in the deals that we buy, because a lot of the deals that we buy, those rates are actually under market. And then from there, what I'm doing is it depends on the market. So usually, and it depends how high those rents are, and it just depends on the supply and demand, the current competitors' rents and all that. I usually try to stay a little bit below the competitors' rents to not be too aggressive. But right now, shorter term, right now, I'm doing, it depends on the deal, 2.5%, about 2.25, 2.25% to 3.5% for years 1 through 3. And then actually after that, I have that going up a little bit more, depending on the deal, depending on the location, depending on a few factors. We've got that going up to anywhere from 2.75 to 3.75. Some scenarios 4% later on down the road, because that's truly kind of what I think is going to end up happening. So that's the answer to that question. Let's see what the next one is. See if I want to answer it or not. Yeah, why is it moving around? You're controlling it, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's crazy. All right, so first investment property, quick rundown for me. I mean, I talk about that all the time in my other content, so go look through Instagram. Because the people that watch us live all the time and watch this stuff all the time, they don't need to hear it 2 million times out of my mouth when it's a straight up blunt question like first investment property, quick rundown. Literally talk about it probably in half the content that's out there. But real quick, what I did, I learned, found a way to make money, I saved it. I went and looked at deals, and I pulled the trigger and bought a deal, right? And when I bought that deal, I put up half the equity, and I had a couple family members, my mom, dad, my sister, put up the other half of the equity. It wasn't a loan. It wasn't a forgivable loan. They've done really well. It was an equity position. They still have equity. And then it was a value add. So it was 4 units. The markets were under rent. The rents were under market. And we added value. We updated the kitchens. I did everything, right? So I learned how to do the leasing. I learned how to do the marketing and the lease renewals and all that stuff. And then we pushed the rents, and that first property went from being worth 190 to about 320 over a couple years, and we ended up buying the 4 unit right next door too. So the 2 properties we started about 400,000, 350, 380,000 all in as a purchase price. We ended up selling them for about 610, 620, something like that, and then rolled forward and bought the building that's pictured right here on the front of my book. Yeah, 1031, and the other portion of it went and bought a 10 unit, and then I just really promoted that track record and was able to raise more dollars and start a private equity arm. So that's that question, guys. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 18 of the Justin Spaulding Show. Appreciate it. If you guys have any other questions that you want to see on next week's show, I know we already have a little bit of a backlog. We have 5 or 6 questions that'll roll over to next week. But we're always taking questions, comments, thoughts on the show, things that you guys want to see. Make it around, center this around our audience and what they want to learn and know and talk about and discuss. Interested to see what you guys think about, how we open the show here, about what you all think are going to happen with capital gains. Is it going to be increased? Is the administration going to do that? And if so, what you think the outcome of that is going to be over the next 4 to 8 years plus. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Join us again next week. Go follow us on YouTube. Go like us on Instagram. Go follow us in all those places. Please subscribe to the YouTube though. That's what we're trying to grow the YouTube a little bit. So go over there if you haven't already. And